Hey guys, what's going on? I am Sam Crack, and I always listen to you guys first. You told me in the comment section of the last pizza car video that you want to see the engine being worked on. You want to see it running. So that is our goal today. We're going to start pulling a bunch of parts off the donor car. We're going to transfer them over to the pizza car. We're going to tie up any really important loose lines like transmission lines. There's a sensor missing, like I think it's an oil level sensor or something of the sort. Anything that would cause fluids to spew out of the car. When I go ahead and turn it on, we're going to get those connected. Then we're going to start this pizza car up and make sure, well, it runs. Also, we got to get that motor mount. As you saw, the motor mount was completely sheared on the pizza car here. And I learned something from you guys. I didn't realize that those motor mounts are meant to be broken in an accident because they want the motor to fall down and not go into the cabin. It's really interesting you told me that because I had to replace the motor mount not only on this car, I had to replace it on my Ford Fiesta ST. I'm pointing over there. You guys can't see it, but it's sitting right next to me. I also had to do it on the Money Pit Jetta. So any sort of front end car I've worked on, I really have had to replace those motor mounts. So good call from you guys. I always really appreciate when you teach me something. So let's get started taking apart the donor car and pull as many parts off of it as we need. All right, guys, breakdown of the donor car has been very successful. Now, one really good thing. I was wrong about something, but it's a good thing. See this dimple right here in the exhaust manifold? Earlier, I thought that during the accident, mine got dented. It did not. That's how they are. So, of course, the DXP car right here only has 2,000 miles on it, so we're definitely keeping the original. Let me come around here and show you what we've got off the car, and we are going to now transplant. These are just some shrouds that go in front of the radiator. That goes on the bottom of the car underneath where this rail is. I just put this rail in and everything is really nice and straight. This piece right here that you see that's bolted in right here, 2 and 2, and then there's one underneath. If this was bent, the piece that it goes into, the subframe here, well, we'd be underneath the donor car over there and we'd be fixing it. But like I said, this car is really very straight. The only issue I noticed after taking the ABS module out here is that this is creased in pretty bad. And well, I don't think that that would affect the way the panel fits. The fender bolts here. The fender should still lay straight, but this is kind of an eyesore, and of course it moves over this bolt hole here for the ABS pump. The bracket that the ABS module was located in was broken, and while it would still bolt in 2 places and be stable, I want to figure out something to maybe pull this out and keep this flat. You see, I'm going to give you a better look here. And then let's go look at the donor car so you can see how flat it is. This is something I really didn't notice till I took this. This is the ABS module here. This is obviously out on the other car. See how this is just completely flat here? It's got a little lip to it. That's perfect. Otherwise, we have our coolant reservoir here. We have our washer fluid reservoir there. We have, of course, the front core support. And then this is going to be the piece I'm going to put in next. This is the radiator condenser, all together, all already bolted together, which is perfect. I took it out of the car like that with all the lines on the back of it. You can see the coolant lines back there. This is going to be beautiful. I'm just going to slide this in the other one. We'll make things super, super easy. Let's get to that right now. All right, guys, we are losing daylight, so we're going to pause right here, come back tomorrow, but let me show you where we're at. We have the radiator and fan and condenser mounted in the little bushings that they sit in, and the mounts, it sits and fits really good. I've got this major line routed to the back, and it's all the way back here. It's hard to see. Basically, still have the motor mount missing, and I was starting to fit these lines, and I noticed they're not fitting perfectly, and then it dawned on me, well, the motor mount is in, so the engine is sitting a little lower. That's going to bring these lines up. There's going to be less slack, and they're going to go right in. So first on the agenda for tomorrow is to get the motor mount out of the old car. I haven't decided whether I'm just going to let it sit like this car has on its side, or if I'm going to try and assemble the old one with some like JB weld just so it can sit on there. Again, donor cars strictly for parts at this point, so we're not trying to turn that into something it's not. And then we're going to assemble everything back here, and we're going to try and start the motor. I still haven't tried to start it. I've got to hook up a couple coolant lines here, and down there I have my transmission lines all in, so we won't have any transmission fluid spewing anywhere. I've got the little oil sensor in, so no oil will come out. We're going to get this thing started tomorrow. I'm crossing my fingers here. See you then. All right, it is day 2. You can see I've taken the bolts and the fasteners out here that secure the motor mount to the engine, and I can really just go ahead and lift this up at this point and pull it right out. Perfect. Now, right now, this is being supported by a jack and a block of wood right there on the oil pan, so nothing gets dented or dinged or damaged. Even though it is a donor car, of course, we're going to keep these parts in good condition. We're going to move this motor mount over, and I am just deciding here whether to let this car rest on the transmission mounts. Even if I take this jack down, it's going to be supported by a few things, although it does put some unnecessary stress. So I'll figure that out here in a moment, but for right now, let's move this piece over to the Domino's car. All right, so I have the jack positioned in the same place on the DXP car with the block of wood supporting it. I'm using the block of wood, of course, so that the surface there on the jack doesn't dent in or damage the oil pan. So I'm just going to jack it up, and you'll see the motor will start to move up, obviously. And we just want to get it up enough to where it's level and it's sitting where it should be sitting. So right there, it's actually probably a little higher than it needs to be, but that is okay. So you could see while I was working on it, I put all the screws and bolts back where they went so that I remembered exactly which ones go where. And let's get this aligned. Let's get the motor mount in. Then all we have to do is attach a few hoses, and we're going to try and start this car in a few minutes. I had to move this line out of the way really quick. I had it bolted to the firewall here. I just undid that, moved it out of the way, slid this where it belongs. It's lined up actually pretty good. I'm going to start with these 3 bolts that secure it to the apron and the frame rail, and then I'll jack the motor up. We'll align it. You know, when these motors are kind of just suspended freely like this, and especially a light motor like this, we can push it. See, I'm moving it, the camera's moving and everything. So we'll be able to line it. Alright guys, here's our moment of truth. I've hooked up pretty much all the loose ends, anything that might be associated with the engine, with the coolant system, with the transmission coolers, and while not everything's going to work, I don't have the air intake on, the MAF isn't plugged in right here, so it probably, or if it does start, it's going to idle funny, and that even might prohibit it from starting, but it shouldn't. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to get this thing started. The only last thing I have to do is right here, while I'm working on the car, of course, I leave the terminal off the battery. Let's get inside and let's see if it starts. All right, here we go. 2,014 miles, pretty amazing, right? We have our keys right here. Gonna put it in the ignition. You know, everything works as far as that goes. We'll make sure our air's off. Foot on the brake, which there are no brakes because I've got the ABS pond. Wow. Whoa. It's running, but it's idling funny and a bunch of lights are coming on. Which sounds about right. Like I said, it's going to idle funny without the MAF. But that's awesome. It works. So it works, and you can probably see, I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of smoke, and I was concerned about that at first. In the early stages of this repair, I had this off the car. This is some sort of sensor that has to do with the oil, and whenever I had it out of the car, a little bit of oil came out. I'm guessing it seeped down here, dripped on the catalytic converter, which is right down here, and then that, you know, burning oil is, you can see that it's pretty much burned off at this point. It's not smoking very much anymore. So it looks like we're good. All we have left in the engine bay is to put this front support on, make sure I route the major wiring harness the correct way, put the plastic shroud on, and we'll be good to go. Oh yeah, we got to put our, right here is our coolant bottle, and right down there is the windshield washer reservoir. And very soon, my white colored panels will be ready to go. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have already seen these panels painted. I posted it there a few days ago now. Well guys, it's official, the pizza car runs. I'm pretty excited about that. Like I said, as long as there's no major oil spillages or anything like that when you get these cars, even if you can't get the motor to turn over initially, like we had a problem doing when we were getting it off the tow truck, that you usually have a pretty good motor transmission situation. Motors, transmissions are pretty tough in accidents. It's not that I haven't seen. I've seen a cracked transmission housing in an accident. I've seen a trunk come out of the block, but those accidents are so severe, you're buying those cars as parts. So the motor works and it runs really decently, and that's without the mass airflow sensor even hooked up. I'm pretty surprised, and of course it's gonna run better. I've got a new air intake from the donor car, and we're gonna put all that back together. But for right now, the engine is straight, it's sitting where it should be, and we're gonna move on to the next segment, whether it be finishing up the engine compartment, whether it be the suspension work that I told you about if you watch my how much the C6 Corvette cost, or we're going to work on the airbags in the interior of the car. Definitely let me know in the comment section below what you guys want to see next. Also, make sure you let me know, what do you want to be seen done with the pizza car, whether it's to take it somewhere fun, maybe you want to see a mod done to it. Everybody in the live stream said LS swap it or turbocharge it. There's a lot of complications with those two things, although somebody sent me a message stating that there is a turbo kit out for these cars. We'll look into that soon enough, but for right now, we just want to get it back. We want to get it on the ground, and we want to drive it, get it inspected, and have a really fun car in the garage. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. As always, if you have any questions for me, you can email me or you can write me on Instagram. Definitely make sure you're following me on Instagram because, again, there's a lot of pizza car content going on there that happens a few days before it shows up here on YouTube. You can find out where to contact me in the description box below. Guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I will catch you very soon.